Ooh,
Hello, and Watch, the podcast where we start recording on 2.
we attempt to.
I'm going to start doing that now when people want to lift things with me. I'm like, on 2?
On 2? Well, then you're thinking 1, 2. Like, say no.
Okay, well, for our video viewers, this is what you do when you're starting a live broadcast. You go, we're going in 5.
And go on 2.
That's going on 2, you know?
Yep.
Well, the debate is, do you keep 4 auditory, right? Like, is 4 worthy far enough away from the go time that you can still give that auditory cue?
There's been a lot of union meetings on this topic, and it's yet to be resolved.
Yeah, I don't know I think it's one of the great problems of our time that I don't know if man can solve it. Like, if our brain is capable.
You gotta leave it to women.
Thank you.
Thank you. There it is. There it is.
My mouth to say it, and you got to it first. Hey, did we watch Star Trek: The Next Generation?
I did. Did you?
Boy, did we.
Yes, I did.
This is a show you can't fake not watching the show. Like, if you didn't do your homework, it's going to be real obvious.
Because it goes one way or the other.
Are you saying that I didn't do my homework on other
I'm saying
if you know about it?
Try to pull it off. I will be interested to see.
Yeah, I like that part. Also good.
No, I really enjoyed this episode. Well, let me try that again.
Yeah, this was an episode.
This was an episode. When I read the description of it, I'm like, is this true? But yeah, I guess it's the description. Booby Trap, episode 306. While investigating alien ancient derelict ship, the Enterprise gets caught in the same energy trap which doomed the vessel a millennia ago. I guess what we should also add to that is Jordy flirts with a diagnostic hologram, right?
And kisses her.
Oh, yeah.
He kisses. Well, here's the thing.
It culminates in that.
She kissed him. Well, he had his hand on. Well, we'll get into it.
Well, 90% of the time.
Before we start, do you guys want another Coco Nono?
Please.
Is that just coffee and soda water?
Yeah. How do you? It's actually
Coco. No.
Coco Nono. I've had too many.
That date was rough. It was refreshing to see something not on the bridge of the Enterprise as like an opening. It's like, oh, this is an awkward date scene. Okay, I'm down for something different. And boy howdy, we established that Jordy is not great in the romance department, right?
Dressed in his civvies.
Yeah, I loved her outfit. That like pink crop top shoulder thing, awesome.
Yeah. His idea of romantic music though is Johann Brahms. Dance something number 5 or something like that. What's it called? Hungarian dance or something.
Dun, 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 dun,
Yeah.
dun, dun.
It feels like something out of a montage of a 90s film or something.
It's
right?
whatever
Like
they could get royalty free at the time.
Or is it a shout out to Dr. Leah Brahms, who we will meet in hologram form later on?
I wondered that.
That would be better.
No,
I think
Brahms, do we?
Well, they are spelled the same. What I learned from reading a little bit of Memory Alpha was that the character was actually named after another character that would be a descendant from a character from the original series. But apparently that would have required hiring a black actor, and apparently the casting department had already hired this woman before they realized that issue, and so they just renamed it to Brahms. Apparently.
Oh. Wow.
Really interesting. Right? So they were trying, I don't know what the deal was with that. They were trying to have it be a descendant from an original series character. Let me look up the name of it.
I don't know where to start with that today, but I wish that Jordy had a beach specific visor that had little a wood in there and palm trees carved in it.
Oh, that would be good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he needs skins for his visor.
But Becca, who would that benefit?
Oh wow, you got me there. You really got me there.
I mean, when he looks in a mirror, he still sees an electromagnetic image, right? He doesn't really see those details.
You could see the difference in metal or wood, though.
In the early draft, in the early draft of the episode, Brahms was named Navid Daystrom and was intended to be a descendant of Dr. Richard Daystrom from the original series, The Ultimate Computer. Unfortunately, the casting department did not realize that this would require a black actress to play the part until after Susan Gibney had been hired. At the suggestion of script coordinator Eric Stillwell, the character was renamed, but the Daystrom tie-in was kept by adding a line that she graduated from the Daystrom Institute.
Aha.
Yeah. But I mean, on the plus side, at least we have an interracial romance, so that's good. We didn't, keep it limited to only thinking that way. But yeah, that's a bummer. But their chemistry was kind of interesting. Like, what a weird way to have them like start fighting right at the beginning of their romantic romance.
She was uncomfortable. Oh, sorry, you meant with the hologram. I thought we were going back to the date with.
The date.
Sorry, yeah, I jumped ahead. Let's continue with what's her name.
Christy,
yeah. So don't blame her. He's not the suavest, but he's a sweet guy. But I don't know.
But you know what?
We planned that holodeck for weeks, which is really sweet. I thought.
I was trying to tell you.
I have been both like that date. Oh.
I'm really trying to make it happen, you guys.
It's so quiet in the mix. I don't know if it works, but for those of you that can't hear it, you want to try one more time?
I can do the file, Jake.
Okay, good. Yeah, please do. I can do that. That was a great moment. That caught me off guard for sure. I love the delivery of that. But yeah, the crew.
Says, in a way that is iconic and memorable, and I have made a button on my stream deck because Wesley says when seeing Jordy is back early from his date.
Right.
Another case of mimicking human mannerisms.
It was a wonderful choice.
Character ever.
Yeah. And before they can get into it with Jordy, though, Data gets called to the bridge, and it turns out they've found a derelict ship in an asteroid field.
In an asteroid field that belongs in a museum.
The holy grail for someone with few interests, such as not children,
no kids,
archaeology,
old stuff.
Now, to be fair, we've remarked several times that they've finally like expanded on him a little bit. One thing at a time.
Killed Crusher's husband. That's the other
thing. Slayer of Jack Crusher is Captain Picard. Yeah, he's very excited about this ancient ship, which is like what, maybe 1,000 years old, is what he said.
They say many times 1,000 years. Really is time.
Well, it's nice because this was kind of like a nerdy episode. We've got Jordy at the center of it, and then we see Picard nerding out over his passions too. So it's kind of nice to see this enthusiasm and to see, where you can channel it. It can be both beneficial and detrimental. It could trigger traps or get you kissing holograms.
What did you guys think about that moment when Riker and Troy are exchanging looks over Picard's boyish excitement over getting to discover a ship? I thought that they were saying that they think his behavior is, unusual. He just seemed like kind of regular old Picard to me.
Oh, I thought that there was like a joy to it in that, Troy is empathetic and would be experiencing just as much enthusiasm and joy and having that spread on her face. And then Riker being connected mentally as an Imzadi. That's what I kind of got, is they were kind of enjoying the moment of Picard being kid-like, but not kids, not on the bridge.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Like, I feel like they were trying to establish that, we haven't seen this side of him before, or as often. This is nice to see this. And so I think they also showed it by how he kept trying to explain to people how ships in a bottle are cool. Yeah. Like, even like from our perspective, like it's super old school. So like for them, they don't even understand the concept. Like Riker's like, what are you talking about?
But we've seen ships in bottles before.
On the ship, right?
On the
Isn't
ship.
there one in the...
Jordy made it.
Jordy did it.
Yeah.
Again.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
It's between these nerds.
He's asking about this.
I also like the joke in the transporter room where Picard was like, has no one ever done this? And Worf was like, I never played with toys. Data says, I was never a boy. That's
the have you seen The Good Place? There's a character, Janet, who has a similar vibe of like an AI. And she's constantly like, not a girl, not a boy, I'm just a robot.
Yep. I never had a childhood.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that she constantly says, not a girl.
Yeah.
Shout out to the NB.
Yeah.
And Picard is like, hey, you're smiling at me. Don't laugh at me. Don't laugh at me like the children did when I made model airships as a boy. What is this? I'm a captain. I will not
It's a lot to unpack.
O'Brien did fine, though. He did play with model airships.
O'Brien did.
Really? Yeah. We think he did.
Or
he's not sucking up.
Yeah, he's just lying to get his nose all up in Picard's brown, if you will.
Have you been looking at my fan fiction? No, I'm just kidding.
Brown nosing is such a term I really dislike, and then when we hear it, but then also Becca elaborates on it with describing.
For me,
in his brown.
I'm sorry, Mom.
Oh, we'll make the audio cut. Don't you worry. This is the people who pay to see this.
Welcome to the OnlyFans Boldly Watch. It's just butthole jokes.
So we stop. So we go to the ship. So we go to the derelict vessel. We discover a bunch of skeletons, and we see that this ship was derelict for reasons they can't quite fathom, right? They haven't solved the mystery of what happened here.
It's been 1,000 years.
Yeah.
Older.
Yeah. I feel like we've been in this exact scenario with the episode that was centered around the Chinese finger trap and how Data couldn't figure that out.
Oh,
it was
my
the same
goodness.
thing.
Yeah, a little bit. There are. I think it won't be the end of derelict ship mysteries we have to solve.
I forgot that was an episode, and when Jordy reported that there was a proportional opposite reaction to their energy output, I thought, oh no, it's going to be a finger trap situation.
Again.
Again.
That's a theme they don't need to carry on, I feel. So they're trying to figure out what exactly happened there. Meanwhile, LaForge does actually get some advice from Guinan.
Good advice.
I wrote give some guidance, which is what I'm going to reference it as always now, because I think that's what she's there for.
I feel like we need the AM radio show buttons. We've got the Data, and then we need a little jingle for some guidance.
Ready for it? I know what I was going to say. Is Guinan into Picard? Baldman.
Well,
it's implied, maybe. She could be.
She confesses she's into bald men. She says she's into heads, and Jordy's like, yes, they're mine. No, the shape of their head. I want a nice, smooth one, please.
I got a head thing, Jordy.
Humanoids, just love it. No, she had said because a bald man was kind to me once or something like that. And so it might be Picard. It might be someone else. It might be someone that Picard reminds her of in her past.
I will say.
Will we find out?
We will find out. Yes, we will find out.
I wrote down one of the quotes though about Jordy coming to these realizations about talking with other people and socializing. And I feel like this is something that people run into a lot, especially when we used to be in person to make communication.
I
but
forget.
You're right. But she gets him to sort of trick him into saying, but I'm not trying now. And she's like, that's the issue. You're trying too hard, without saying, hey, buddy, you're trying too hard.
Okay, this feels very pointed towards me, Xander.
Yeah, Becca, we just needed to... No.
He's just looking into the camera, Becca. It's a conversation.
I haven't socialized in a year.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, right? It's when dating, you just need to be yourself. That's who the person's going to fall in love with anyway. So if you're projecting a false image of yourself, well, that's not going to be honest.
And
Good
we see
on-camera advice.
Yeah, and we see this in action later when we see the direct change of him interacting with this hologram. As soon as she has a form of sentience, Jordy drops all of the defenses and just gets into, like you said, an argument with this person, which you would never do on a first date. But this is very passionate, and you could see it was sharing an interest, even though it was a hologram that was programmed to share an interest. And there's a whole little thing there I don't know if I want to get into.
Yeah. Are we getting into Jordy's first romance? First of all, why has he never had a girlfriend before? He's so cute and wonderful and smart. It blows my mind. Is dating different in... No, we've seen Wesley do it.
I think he's intentionally an outlier. Like they're trying to establish that he's not just, I don't think dorky is the right word for it. I think he's so into engineering. Like the ship is a little bit of his partner in some ways, right?
They cast an extrovert to play an introvert.
Right.
Well, and he's not even super introverted, but he never is any of the outgoing people in any of the social situations. You don't see him performing at all or playing music or anything like that, like you do with some other people. No trombones in his quarters
that we see.
So yeah, and I think even the writers, actually, there's a good quote here about how he is kind of in love with the ship. Let's see. Michael Piller, who's a producer, said it was just said to me. This was originally okay. Michael Piller, a producer, had said about how initially Picard was also was the one who's going to be involved with the simulation, and he said it said Picard should be on the bridge, not just chatting with holograms. He said chatting with some woman. I said to myself, it should be Jordy because Jordy's in love with the ship, and this is a story about a guy in love with his '57 Chevy. That played into Jordy's character, who always has been a fumbling guy around women, but if he could just marry his car, he'd live happily ever after.
Wow, so he gets what to create fantasy!
He gets to create the personification of a woman who created the engine he loves. It's sort of a relationship between he and his Pontiac. So I don't know how. I think that's one interpretation of it. I think it's like a mix of those things, right? Where it's also him exploring another person's personality, because it is like a 93% her, right? Based on her personality test.
Yeah. But also, like, we've had a lot of fun here today, but that guy definitely wanted to marry his car, right? Like in real life.
It should be legal to marry your truck. That's all I'm saying. He went on to write a country song that my wife... No, go ahead.
No, what was the country song?
He went on to write a country song that's called My Wife Is My Truck.
Right.
Yep.
Oops, truck nuts. They happened.
Geordi's love language is his intelligence.
Yes.
And he hasn't been able to find someone that shared that until he found the origin of this computer program, or the woman who wrote it, and downloaded the personalities from various symposiums she had attended into this hologram. I thought it was sweet when I was watching it, but now seeing Xander's reactions, I'm realizing that's kind of creepy.
Yeah, right? Like if you could create 93% of a person's responses, like that's how accurate it is. That is creepy, right?
I'm going to have to get rid of all my hair dolls because now I'm putting air in my ways. Just because you can collect someone's disposed parts and reassemble them.
Doesn't mean you should.
Yeah, into an item of worship.
Yeah. This is so interesting too because there's a direct parallel with some news that has been happening recently with deepfakes. Mm-hmm. Basically, like deepfake technology takes various symposiums or movies or whatever that these people have been featured in and create like a replica. I think Tom Cruise, there was one that was going around that was really
on TikTok.
And with the advent of TikTok, short form video that you don't normally have to verify too much, you can get away with so much. It's basically creating that just in the long form. There's another aspect that's sort of this celebrity or idol worship too, because whatever you create in the holodeck is going to be the perfect or idealized version of that person without the flaws that comes with being a human.
So did they? I thought they mentioned that it was her personality was based off of like her personality profile, like on her Starfleet record or something like that.
And I'm
which
sure
makes it even scarier. Like it's like is that like her personal like psychological profile? Like then that could be scarily accurate.
All of a sudden she's
encrypted.
She's working on a formula and is like, I'm really into murder shows. And then just goes back to it.
Oh God,
that was on your profile.
The difference here is that they're not living most of their lives through a screen, as we would if we were on a starship. We'd still be in our individual quarters on our individual screens. Like, hey, you know what? I'm gonna work from home from the bridge today.
Right.
Deep fake my way in there, or send someone else in your place. I mean, the repercussions of where deepfake technology is going are just staggering and terrifying. And I wish that Star Trek could just answer this question for us so we didn't have to worry about it anymore. What do we do?
Oh, well, in a few years, you'll be able to kiss it. So problem solved.
I mean, but the benefit for them having deepfakes that are specific to the holodecks is that they can compartmentalize that, whereas we can't, because we exist our lives on our screens.
That's the thing is, and I know this is already an unsafe episode for parents, but with the creation of the holodeck, it had to have been like seconds before someone was like, you know what we could do in here, right?
So you're going home for the night, right? Because I'm just going to hang out and work.
Holodecks.
Yeah.
Also,
So in that sense, working on a project and then smooching at the end is pretty pedestrian compared to what I'm sure gets up to in the holodeck. It's just a matter of he did it with a scientist that kind of existed.
Yeah.
There should be a sign outside the holodeck. She's like, no falling in love with the simulation.
Right. And no interrupting anyone while they're on the holodeck under any circumstances.
Yeah, there's been a lot of walking into holodeck doors all the time. And we've
That's gotta be.
It, but now you just took that to a whole new level.
There should be like a sock on it or something.
The computer just goes, no, sock. Sock.
So let's see. It gets kind of slow at some point because there's just a whole lot of like we're gonna die and like preparing for we're gonna die, and
it was
Jordy
all of
and
a
her
sudden switched on like whoops, we've got like what
3 hours or something.
3 hours,
and that unfortunately is kind of the middle of the show. It feels like a middle of the show because they can't quite solve the problem, Jordy and Dr. Brahms, and then the other half of the crew is just worrying about how much longer they're going to make it.
Because of radiation levels in their shields and stuff.
Yeah, right. So we should explain, I guess. Yeah, there's the booby trap that trapped the other derelict ship has also trapped the Enterprise, and so they can't summon up energy to leave because all their energy is instantly drained, and any energy they output is taken.
Yeah.
What do you mean? What does 1-to-1 mean?
Like anything that they put
like a matter to antimatter ratio.
Exactly. Any energy that they're putting out is being met with equal resistance.
Oh, like 3-to-2. It's the same thing.
Close.
What?
But it's 1-to-1.
Uh-oh.
It's hard to...
I don't think I'm genuinely going to ever understand this concept, but that's fine.
What? The slingshot is a really good idea. And we've seen that solution before to like gravity-based problems, but what Jordy comes up with is like the computer could do it because you need to create this slingshot effect of adjusting the energy output at the same rate that we're getting it back. And because it's exactly at the same time, it's like a human couldn't react fast enough. And then I think they had said like Data was even limited in his capacity to be able to do it, but this hologram could.
They like gave a line to cover that. Okay, but Data's not going to do it. We need someone more interesting.
Yeah.
Because it would be a bit of a cop out to just be like, well, the computer can't do it, but this other computer can.
Right.
It seems like one of those things that is like Data could easily solve this. We just need to address it in the script, so it seems like we wrote about it, but really we're just saying nope. This won't work, though.
Yeah.
Okay, Data can't do everything.
Well, then let's talk about the nature of what happens with Leah and
he wasn't a Data ex machina. Oh God.
Data ex
machina.
Nice.
That should be a term for getting out of anything with data powers.
Data.
Data ex machina, so good. You guys know that Booby Trap is a double entendre for this episode, right?
Because of the hollow boobies.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, there's the ship's problem, and Jordy's in his own booby trap.
Right, because it's her fault, even though she's a hologram.
It's always the woman's fault, Xander.
It's because of what she was wearing.
Exactly.
I was gonna say she's like
address the clothing.
She's like a Puritan level. Like that came back really briefly. Yeah, pioneer.
Shoulder pads. They're
so warm too, like on set under those lights, because she had like a turtleneck situation too, right?
She covered up well because she's a scientist.
Well, that's the thing. I think they also didn't want to like overly sexualize her because they didn't want to like make that a whole point of it in the beginning. They wanted to work towards them actually having a relationship, not like an immediate attraction. Although I will say her introduction is her hand appearing on frame on his shoulder, so maybe not.
Yeah, Riker didn't make this hologram. It's not Jordy.
Computer has no nuance. Like, I want the scientist to show me how to do it. And
the interesting thing Well, like you mentioned, the hand on the shoulder, and then we get to it eventually. She initiates this kiss. I think that's the most disconcerting thing for me is the initiation of these human behaviors, where like that's totally out of her function and her parameters.
Right,
Jordy should be the one to initiate it, but then it looks creepy. So it's a catch-22.
I think the excuse there is that because they programmed her quote unquote personality to like a 90% level or whatever it is, that she would make some decisions, I guess. Like he added a script onto it. I don't know.
She was 90%.
Personality quiz when you join Starfleet, and it's like, how likely are you to make the first move
in the workplace?
Yeah, in the workplace.
Is there a dial he can turn up for kissability or something?
Yeah. Smoochums.
Yeah, smooch.
Turn up the smoochums.
The slider. Smooch to maximum.
I didn't understand the slingshot mechanic of how the ship was going to get out of these asteroids that seemed to be hiding some sort of booby trap. But it did make me think, hold on, all you have to do is, like, this is basically Apex Legends, right, Jake? So you could have gotten out of here.
No, there's gravity in Apex. So the thing is, there is gravity in space. There's no gravity in space except for the objects that are there, right? So, and really in all space travel, they're always calculating gravitational pull. So like when we put probes out to Mars, we're lining it up with where Mars will be when it gets there. We're actually lining it where Mars isn't in some ways. But the gravitational pull of our planet and any planets that are like on the way, which there aren't any between us and Mars, but like anything that gets in our path, we have to adjust for. Same with the Enterprise. So he can't just skirt out of there. He has to use the asteroid gravitational pull to pull him and then do a little thrust maneuver at the end and slide out of there. So yeah, I guess it is a little Apexy.
It's using the physics of the asteroids as opposed to their warp drive or their engines. So it's basically like using little air thrusters to get into a position to use that to slingshot out of the way. And then Jordy enhances it with like, we have to turn everything off for some reason. No human can
I think
do
that's
it,
a dramatic pull. Is like,
it.
We need to like, just it's, I think he's like trying to pull a sweet maneuver in that Pontiac. Like there definitely is a car lover who was in the writer's room here.
Yeah, and they're like, it can't be automatic. It has to be a manual.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, he needs to take manual control.
Yeah. And we get
ahead.
this moment of Picard sort of, back to that boyish excitement, but he's like, I need to take responsibility for this ship, and for anything that happens, I'm going to drive. And get out of here, Ensign Crusher.
Hold on, wait, you have never steered a ship before, Picard? Can
Right.
you maybe... No, I'm the captain.
It's me. I built several in bottles.
Definitely going to kill us, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Somehow he didn't, though. And
that was a
car lover gets a real big payoff when he gives Leah Brahms the line, "Every time you touch this engine, it's me." Ooh, okay.
Yeah. All right.
Anyway, what state is it that you can marry your car in?
Florida, probably.
Florida. Oh, right. Florida man. I see the article now.
Yeah.
One other thing I forgot to mention was Riker. Once again, we've referenced how he loves to use away teams to solve mysteries, because he didn't get to go on the first away team, and then when they were like, "Well, we need to solve this issue," he's like, "Maybe we should have another away team go back, and I'll lead it this time."
Yeah. Well, you weren't supposed to let the captain go, and so he's like, "See, you just did it wrong."
Yeah, let me try.
Yeah.
Yeah, this was an interesting one. I wanted it to be, I don't know, I wanted it to be a little bit more dramatic. The end scene where he's piloting out was a good example of making a not much action dramatic. They did a good job with the music in that, I thought, and a lot of the shots and staging of everybody looking concerned. But in reality, if we'd just done a wide, it's just everybody at their console staring at a screen, and Picard very occasionally just going beep.
I mean, props to the acting too, because you felt the tension with everybody, and that's tough to do.
It was interesting they didn't have like Crusher and Troy and like pretty much half the command team, like Worf, also like helping out around the ship. Everybody was on the bridge to have reaction shots, right?
Everybody with a single
Worried
hand
glances.
on Picard's shoulder.
Yeah.
The ultimate show of support. Call back.
And he's like, "Don't look at me while I pilot. I can't do it when you watch."
Yeah, 5 out of 10.
Yeah.
Like
It was fine.
Dynamics.
Yeah, I kind of wanted more Guinan.
Yeah.
That was like just a very quick scene, and she really didn't even help him. She's just like, be yourself, and that was it.
Right.
But that's actually
They
also
actually built the set to 10 Forward in Whoopi Goldberg's basement because it's really hard to get her.
Yeah. But you know what? Accommodations must be made because that was gold.
For good reason.
I wonder if the guy that wanted to marry his car knew about Transformers, because I feel like that could be transformative in how he views his car.
Oh. Important questions. Hey, what's next week, Jake?
Well, next week, I'm so glad you asked, Becca, because next week we have an even better Jordy-centric episode.
Ooh.
Yeah, which I think we kind of need. Like, this is a good try. It's like, let's just do it again and do it better.
To no fault of LeVar Burton. I think
not at all. No,
given a bad script, not bad script, but like a mediocre script, I think he did a phenomenal job with what he had.
Like I said, and I think we've said this multiple times in the show, like, we think the actors are all pretty solid in what they've been given. Like, you know, they do a good job with some very bananas choices.
Yeah, except for the one that we got rid of season 1. Don't worry about it.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. And we also have to remember that, like, LeVar Burton is doing all this without access to showing his eyes, which is a hard thing to do and also very difficult in romance, I think.
Yeah.
I can't believe that you're the first one to mention it this episode.
Right?
Yeah.
You're so correct.
Forgot that most people do most of their acting with their eyes.
Yeah. And like when you're supposed to have a connection with another person and show connection and show depth, he actually did that a lot with his face without having to reveal anything in those beautiful brown pool. Well, I guess white pools of eyes below those. But
with those
if you've seen LeVar Burton without the contacts, he has beautiful eyes beyond that too.
What a shame to cover them up.
Wow. Yeah. I mean, mind blown.
Well, we'll get to see him someday, but next week we're going to visit the episode The Enemy.
Dun, dun, dun.
LaForge and a Romulan are trapped on a planet ravaged by electromagnetic storms. Meanwhile, Worf turns out to be the only viable donor to save the life of an injured Romulan aboard the Enterprise.
Romulans.
Yeah, we haven't seen many Romulans.
Mm-mm.
Finally getting into them after being promised them, like, we feel like sometime in late season 1, they're like, yeah, more Romulans are coming, baby.
Mm-hmm.
I'm here for those brows. Let's get to it. Warp 8.5?
Yeah, sure.
Engage. Don't
Bingo.
kiss the hologram.